Are you ready to experience the city beautiful? Welcome to Living in Orlando with me, Roo Klaers.
Roo Klaers here with Your Home, Your Castle. And today we're going to be talking to a client of mine where we literally created a Cinderella story. We were working on selling her property that had been lived in with some tenants a couple of years, and they didn't take good care of it. So we had to revitalize this and deal with a lot of things. So I wanted to share this story with you just to show you what's possible and to celebrate such a great transformation. So today we're going to talk to Nixie Campos. She is the homeowner of what I'm calling our Cinderella Project. And it was from where the house began to where it was when we sold it was such a transformation. So I just wanted to get her feedback on how she felt about it because, you know, obviously this was a big investment, a huge asset. And then you were faced with, you know, a life situation that took you across the country to another place. And then you had to deal with kind of a sudden situation. And I just want to understand where you were coming from that initially made you decide that you wanted to sell the house, and then as we went through the process where you were out at. So when your son called you and kind of shared with you what was going on, how did this transpire? Did they just kind of, because you were renting it now, right?
Yes, I was renting it at that time. I let them out of the lease a month early, thinking that the house would be in some type of good condition. And unfortunately, it was not. It was like they left in a hurry type thing. So when my son went over to the house, there was still furniture that was there. They left things on the lawn. And we were sitting there trying to figure out how we were going to get rid of all this stuff because it was a lot of things. It was a lot of stuff. And I couldn't figure out how to go about and get rid of the stuff. As far as why I decided to sell the house was because due to circumstances, I'm currently residing in Arizona and I decided to stay here. And in order for me to purchase something here, I had to sell the house in Florida because I was not going to move back. And I didn't want to continue to rent the house out because I needed the capital to buy something here in Arizona.
So how long had the tenants been in the house?
The tenants were in-house 2 years.
Okay. Did you have any idea what they were doing at your house?
No, I did not.
Okay. So I had the opportunity to tour the house with Joseph, and he was definitely overwhelmed at the time because there was a giant fish tank that he had to get rid of. There was a huge wall unit. The house itself, and I'm sure he shared this with you, it did not smell good. There were flies everywhere. And apparently they had just left trash in the house when they left. Food trash, other trash. I have no idea what kind of trash was in the house, but it did not smell good. Poor Joseph. He was so lost when we got there. And then I went outside and we looked at the yard, and the yard was really overgrown. So neither one of us, I think, really understood what was going on in the backyard. And then there was this giant wooden crate that didn't make any sense to us. And I'm like, well, maybe they were storing yard furniture in it. I had no clue. We just really, it was such a mystery, right? So, you know, we were both kind of like, he was trying, you know, I have to give him a lot of credit because if one of my children had been in that position, I'm not sure they would have done anything better. They would have been like, I don't know what to do. I'm so confused.
Yeah.
You know, so it was a lot. It was overwhelming.
He tried to get the Salvation Army to come and pick up, but the furniture was in bad condition. Right? Yeah, they wouldn't take the furniture.
And then we couldn't get the garbage disposal people. They would only take 3 cubic feet at a time.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And then I guess county got a little upset and they gave you a notice that we had to get this done.
Yeah.
And in the meantime, we arranged to have a company come in. We had a couple of people come out and do some bids to refurbish the inside and make it more sellable so that you could get more money for it. And we had one bid that was 40 grand, one bid that was 15, and we had a budget of 11 grand. basically,
Yeah.
right? So we had to figure out a way to make the most out of what we had to spend that you could get after the fact, and then figure out that you could pay after you sold, and then figure out how to get the most out of that money. And then we ended up having to replace flooring because the tile flooring decided that it was no longer going to stick to the concrete for whatever reason, just spontaneously separated, and then make the kitchen more updated, right? And some things in the bathroom. And so in the process of doing this, we also had to deal with the lawn because the lawn had been overgrown, and we had to get rid of the things that nobody would take. And there was still the giant fish tank that, between the vehicles available, just couldn't figure out how to get it. So we were lucky enough to come across a friend of mine. I remembered that she did haulaways. And so I begged her, I said, could you do this, get paid afterwards? And she's like, sure. So she came in and she took away everything outside of the house, the giant fish tank inside of the house, pretty much anything that the tenants had left, right? There were 4 garbage cans full of rotten garbage that they had left this food in there behind. And so obviously it was at a state where I was impressed that they handled it, right?
Yes.
So when you got all of that information, what happened? What did you think? Where were you at when you found all of this out?
I was like, mentally, I was like, oh my God, I'm screwed. Because I did not know where to start. I didn't know where to go in the beginning of all this. When I decided to sell the house, I had gone online, and that's how I found you, through an online search. And I didn't know where to start, didn't know what to do or where to start. So I did go into the house to find out what was going on before. And when it was a hot mess, because I was down visiting, and my son and I were trying to figure out what to do next. And when we met you, you guided us to your friend that hauled everything away, which she ended up cleaning up everything. It was awesome what she did. She cleaned up everything. I even tried to get bids for people to come in and do work, and I couldn't even. They gave me $20,000 to do work. We left out with the $11,000. I had to pay a little bit more afterwards, but it was okay because there were some things that came up. It wasn't that much that came up, so it worked out. My whole mindset was, I just want to get this house sold, and what do I do next? I didn't know what to do. I was just so frustrated and so flustered because I knew I wasn't moving back to Florida, and that's the reason why I was selling it. But when it was a home that I've owned for 10 years. So there was some stuff in there that it was very emotional for me at the same time. So I tried very hard to just take it easy and just take one step at a time, because that's all I could do at that time, because it was a lot going on. When she came and she picked up everything was cleaned up. She mowed the lawn and everything looked nice.
It was like a new house. It was crazy.
Yeah.
Well, and then that's when we found out that they were breeding dogs in the backyard, and there were all these crates back there, and that big wooden thing was like a whelping crate, and that's where they would put pregnant dogs to give birth to their puppies. And I was like, totally blew me away.
I didn't even know they were doing that.
It was wild. It was like, oh, okay, well, this explains a whole lot. Okay. Because it was all overgrown, so you couldn't even see the crates that were in the backyard, that the grass and everything had overgrown. So that was kind of crazy.
It was very emotional. I've lived in that house for so many years. Getting that extra money, all it's going to do is just help me to move on with my life.
We got 2 Cinderella stories going on here, your house and you.
Yes, I was able to get more than what we expected.
The reality is that while I'm dealing with the physical structure, the impact is emotional.
Moving in 9 days or 90 days, be sure to give us a call, shoot me a text, send me an email, whatever works best. We're happy to help you make a smooth move here in the Central Florida region. If you are curious about how we can turn your home into a Cinderella story, definitely give me a call. I'm happy to help out any way I can. Thanks. Stay tuned for more.